Hello everyone, my name is Gabriela and I hope you're having a wonderful students conference so far and then you will enjoy and have an amazing time for the rest of the conference. I'm sad that I cannot be there in person unfortunately, but I'm sending all of you the warmest greetings from Poland. And today I'm privileged to be here and to be able to share with all of you what God has been teaching my life and what God has been teaching me through this last semester, through our amazing professors and classes that we were able to have. And also, I want to share with you about this really important topic for me that I'm researching right now. And it is Elisabeth Moltmann-Wendel and Christian feminism. I want to start my presentation by shortly introducing why I chose this topic and why I chose Elisabeth Moltmann-Wendel as a key author for this topic. As most of you sitting here probably in auditorium, I am European. I'm also a wife and a mother. I am also training to be missionary, working with youth, discipling young women, taking care of their spiritual needs, and bringing the light of the gospel into their hearts. This is why the topic of Christian feminism is so dear to my heart. I, as a Christian woman, I want to understand how God intended us to be, how God created us, and what purpose He wants from us as women. I chose to research Elisabeth Moltmann and her writings because she's really dear to my heart. First of all, she comes from a very similar cultural context as I and believe most of you. She comes from Germany. And us Europeans, we can understand very easily writings by another European. And even though it's a small thing, but in a small detail, but I think it makes it really important while reading theological writings. Also, Elisabeth Moltmann, she was born in 1926 and she died only about 6 years ago in 2016. That makes her really close to our age in the sense that she wrote when we already lived on this earth. Well, for a part, of course. But her writings reflect what's happening today in societies. She saw the change of women being perplexed and not able to do very many things, to being let down of the guards of all the women restrictions and taking it more easy and easy. I know that Croatia had more struggles with that and still has till this day. And that's why Elizabeth's writings are still relevant today. It's not something written 200 years ago. It's right here, recent. She's also a wife of a theologian, Jürgen Moltmann, and a mother of 5. She had the honors to raise 4 amazing daughters, and sadly enough, her son died while she was giving birth to him. It doesn't make her any lesser of a mom. Therefore, we can see that she is a mother, a wife, a local European that really understood the local context. It brings us even closer to her, a woman like me. A mom and a wife, I can read her writings and really understand what she meant by saying certain things. Elisabeth Moltmann-Wendel was a feminist theologian. She wrote quite a few books on this topic, on the subject and on the matter about the feminist theology. She also wrote quite a few books looking more in depth to Bible itself. One of the books is The Women Around Jesus. That's also the key book that I'm using for my research. The author looks at the nature of feminism theology. In this book, we can really see that the author looks at the nature of the feminist theology. It is the Bible itself. And I think it's very beautiful to come back to the Bible, not to our own interpretations all the time. I really like this quote by Katjana Fiber, which is just a journalist published an article in the local German newspaper. And she quickly summarized this book in just a few sentences. I think it's a really nice explanation of what this book is about. She says in this book, the author takes a new look at well-known female figures in the New Testament. Women like Martha, Mary of Bethany, or Mary Magdalene, Joanna, and others are lifted out of the filth of long traditions and of interpretations and turn out to be independent and strong women. In other words, Elisabeth takes the stories from the Bible about those women that we already know mostly and looks at them from a different perspective, taking off lenses of culture, looking more of what actually they did and what ministry Jesus gave to them. For lack of time, I will not go in depth for this presentation about each one of those women as I do in my paper that I'm researching. However, I will present one of the women, this Mary Magdalene. We know her pretty well. We have heard of her before. But I think too often we really imagine her as in this painting. Cleansed sinner, humble, clean, looking lovingly towards Jesus, being quiet, silent, and doing nothing else, just listening, being obedient. And of course, I believe she did all of that. But perhaps there was something more to her. In the Bible, we hear about Mary Magdalene in a few places. First of all, we know that she was the one that was cured of evil spirits that we read in Luke chapter 8. Next time we hear about her is that she's standing at the cross in Matthew 27 and Mark 15. And next thing we know, she's there at the tomb when Jesus rises again. A lot of us would just stop there and move on with the story. Look at what disciples did and how Thomas did not believe and how disciples did certain things. But maybe we missed something there. Elisabeth Moltmann-Wendel suggests us to look in between the storylines. We know that Mary Magdalene was cured of evil spirits, and then we see her at the cross. And not even that, we see her being present at the tomb when Jesus rises. We can make an assumption that she was there during Jesus' teachings. She actually listened to his words. She heard and understood that he will rise again. She was there on the cross knowing what he's there to do. Bible doesn't say about it, but from her actions being present at those scenes, it can say truly a lot to us. That's something that we would skip, but Elisabeth shows us. I think it's very magnificent and beautiful. Of course, there are certain places in the Bible that not everyone agrees whether it was Mary Magdalene there present or not. For example, Luke chapter 7, where we can read about a great sinner that anoints Jesus' feet. She washes his feet with her tears and washes them with her hair, later anointing with the oil. Mary Magdalene is not explicitly mentioned there, but from a term great sinner, we can make the assumptions, and a lot of theologians do agree that it was Mary Magdalene indeed. If so, it is another piece of the puzzle. She understood that Jesus will have to die. She came to anoint him, just as they do people that they anoint for the dead. Then she was there at the cross, and she was there at the tomb. Yes, she was scared and lost, but she was there with her faith. What Elisabeth also does is she looks at the woman broader than just the Bible. Of course, the main authority is the Bible and stays the Bible. But Elisabeth looks also and researched about Mary Magdalene and what does church tradition say about her, what paintings were painted of her, what she was doing in those paintings, and why that could have happened. One of those is this painting right here that I found really interesting in her book. It's like Elisabeth shows us the other perspective on Mary Magdalene that we know. Elisabeth wrote about Mary that Mary had qualities of a leader. She could speak and did not find it difficult to exert her authority. One of the examples how she did it, we can see in this picture. She was preaching. She was teaching. After she was healed, she did not stay silent. She was there to proclaim the gospel, to proclaim what Jesus had done for her to everyone. We don't see it explicitly in the Bible, but it is something I could see Mary doing. And perhaps that could be one of the examples how we can look today at our womanhood. It is not just being humble and quiet all the time, but it is being humble and quiet with a bigger purpose, with actually listening in and then using that knowledge and those things for the glory of God. Today, as mothers, as wives, as missionaries, when we go and preach the gospel to the lost, we can remember these women and how strong they were in that society to preach the good news to the lost. Looking at these few short examples and this short presentation of what Elisabeth tries to show, and there's truly so much of it that we can only look and read, and it would not fit into 15 minutes for sure. We can just see these few points that we need to understand who we are. We as women, we need to understand Christian feminism today. And to understand it today and what it means today, we must look back to when it started. And Elisabeth Moltmann-Wendel wrote and started writing about the time when women started waking up and our society started accepting women. I think that's a really amazing place to start, to really see what Christian feminism is. And to understand biblical womanhood, it is important to look back on the women on the Bible, how they acted, what they did, what Jesus did. Elisabeth Moltmann-Wendel looks at the nature of the feminist theology, which is the Bible. She looks at both of these points, and that's what makes her so amazing. I really suggest everyone to research her, to read a few of those books because they're not that long. And I encourage also to read and to strengthen yourself in Christ. Thank you so much for listening. I want to, of course, give credit to the places that I did my research on and what I used. I hope you will have a nice rest of the conference. Thank you so much for listening and have a great day. Thank you.